It's your TA report. We've got the usual suspects, Nick, GP, Bags with you. Today is January 15th. It's your TA report. The market is not open tomorrow. However, futures have begun trading and we're flattish. But GP, you were making a point that I thought was quite interesting just a moment ago, about the setups from 2022. It was like the bulls were always like falling for the trap, and now you feel like, what did you say?
So like all the bullish setups in 2022 failed, right? Like that was I'm an optimistic chart guy, so when I see things that are breaking out, it looks like it's gonna, and they failed every single time. And so far to the start of the year, it seems like every bear setup is kind of failing, to like your Head and Shoulders, or like the people who are calling out Head and Shoulders in the middle of a downward pattern, right? Like Head and Shoulders is a topping pattern in the larger thing, like all these patterns that they talk about, the double tops, the triple tops. We talked about this last year in terms of like people throwing around technical terms in terms of their bias, right? But like doing it last year on the bull side, now it seems to be on the bear side. It's some interesting stuff to be saying. I am, there's still there's a lot of conditioning that happened over the last 12 to 18 months, that the assumption is things like, you know, Netflix, that everyone sees as a double top to the gap, is a bearish pattern. To me, it usually takes earnings to break Netflix out of whatever it's in. So it's like it's a crapshoot, right? Ultimately, so it's getting to the point where it could break either up or down. I could see Netflix trades like crap in general, and even in a larger bull setup, it could test the 50-week moving average on any given moment.
So what, like 250, you think?
Yeah.
Or you think it holds like 270s? Like I think it holds like 275 is kind of.
I think it already tested the 250 level. I personally don't think that's the level. It's possible, right? Like if their earnings come out and it's crap, right? Then all bets are off. But
I'd throw some darts if it retested like that 280 to 275.
Yeah, like so the 50-week is at 269, kind of where it's been holding for the last couple of months, right? So it's definitely possible that it's had its highest close since April 19, 2022, on back-to-back days. The setup looks like the opposite as it was on the gap downs, right? Like, so if you're looking at the January gap down, it came back and tested, it might hit a low of like 330. It rounded up and hit the low of 332 or whatever again, and then on earnings it got destroyed. And we're kind of in a similar kind of setup. It tested 330, rounded out, and came into retesting the 330 level again on earnings, and it could break either way here. I think institutionally they've been adding. They have two tailwinds, in my opinion. But everyone kind of sees either bearish or bullish. So I'd be surprised if it broke out this time, which is why I think it's more like April or May in general. But it's got two big tailwinds. You have the Dixie, which on the last quarter, I think Netflix earnings is 60% international, 40% domestic. So you have the dollar that took a massive, what is it, like 10 or 15% dump on the quarter in which they're reporting now. So that should help in terms of their earnings in general. They have the They have the ad revenue that they've never had before that should be coming in, which, might be neutral because there might be attrition from the regular plan to people switching to, I don't know until we see some of their numbers. They've said personally that they're pretty happy about their adoption. But yeah, like I just see a lot of people talking about a rising wedge. To me, it looks like a ascending triangle, right? So it's some
I
interesting stuff.
think it looks like I think it held the basically that huge island bottom. I mean,
Yep.
it did kind of. I mean, it technically. I don't know if it technically filled that gap or came.
No, it
Or
did
it
not.
just-
So people keep talking about the gap
Oh,
at
yeah.
333.
Yeah, no,
The day earnings close was 348.61. That's
I'm
the
talking
gap.
about 240. I'm talking about the 240.
Oh no, they didn't close that gap.
240. Yeah. So technically, the island bottom held, and then I've got just like a nice symmetrical channel running.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it looks really good to me.
And we're back to exactly where we were 1 year ago when we started this podcast, which is the way Netflix goes is the way the market goes for the year. We're back full circle.
Here we are.
I think it looks good too. I mean, I've got the chart up here. I see the triangle that you're talking about, GP, but it's just a nice channel off that bottom, honestly. And
I agree.
it wouldn't surprise me for it to hold those EMAs. Like if it came in at 284, it's been running super hot to me. That's not even a bad thing if it retested that weekly 21 EMA down there. I wouldn't see that as a bad thing at all. But sounds like there's a lot of positive built in. I just think, I was saying this before we started the pod was, it's a short week. It's an OPEX week. Like, would shenanigans surprise me in any way, shape, or form? Absolutely not. I'm not saying I'm expecting Netflix to have a big move one way or another, but I don't think after the year we've had coming out of 2022 and now into 23, I don't think that should surprise anybody if that were to happen, but I'm not expecting it. I kind of feel like earnings season as a whole, if you're anywhere near in line, should be kind of muted.
Take a step back though. We've already had 2 earnings and see the reaction so far, right? TSM, Taiwan Semiconductor, which didn't have great earnings, but see what it did on earnings. Right? You're on the weekly chart, but look at the daily. Look at that massive breakout, right? And now what's it doing? It put in an inside week on Friday. So this to me, it didn't immediately fail like it did in 2022, right?
Yep.
Every earnings gap literally failed within like a day, right? So what you're seeing is an inside week here off a kind of like a pop off the bottom, kind of a consolidation pattern here, rounding consolidation pattern, and then pop through and over, you gap right over all the resistance, right? So that's TSM. That's what TSM did on not great earnings, right? And then JP Morgan, look at what that mofo did on Friday. That their earnings were not great.
Ooh.
So what does that tell you? Last year, they threw out the kitchen sink on earnings, right? And that's why you saw the beat down on stuff. So the guidance is lower, expectations are lower. I know everything you see is like, oh, the estimates haven't come down on earnings, but they literally like, we have rising labor costs, we have all of these stuff where like that are headwinds, we have a recession coming up, and we're kind of prepared for all of this stuff. And so
But then you look at a UNH, right?
Yeah.
And it's the opposite way. And
the rotation that's happening right
here.
here.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is like, 1 or 2% pop or dump isn't as bad as what we saw in 2022. That's exactly my point, right?
Yeah.
Is earnings being muted, although positive or negative one way or the other, as long as what the reporting is somewhat in line. I'm not expected to see these big moves that we got last year, where it was 10 to 15% off the rip on you, lowering anything.
Yeah, and so like, what do I think you were talking about it on one of your Twitter morning drives, is when bad news becomes good news, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have two earnings in semiconductors, and the best bank in the US, right? JP Morgan, and the best semiconductor, and what did they do on not great earnings? Right?
Well, that's exactly right. And that's kind of what I expect when we should see the market get back to, and I'm using air quotes here, normal. Right. Good news is reaction is good news, and not bad news is a reaction as good news, or good news is a reaction as bad news, because that's what we've seen for the last year. Is every time there has been good news, which people being employed, the market takes a hit because they just think Jay Powell's raising rates because people are employed. So I think we need to see that balance out to a more normal and not be in the upside down, right? Good news is good news, bad news is bad news, and I think that gives everybody a better direction in how to trade, and that might signal a bottom when things sort of normalize in that way.
Yep, and like my thesis is, it's the year of individual names, right, versus the indices. The indices are going to rise based on like Apple and Tesla, like the bigger dogs, right, which just started breaking down kind of towards the end of last year, right? So those are going to need time to recover. So you can keep the indices kind of sideways to maybe trending up a little bit, while other names start to kind of lead us out, right? Out of there's like, if you're looking at Shop out of a 1 year long base, right? Pins out of a year-long base, Moderna out of a 2-year base, essentially, right? Or 1 year base. I can go through a lot of the names I went through, and then you have names like LMT that look like they're breaking down, the ones that have kind of been defensive and kept us higher.
I'm still kind of proud of my Apple chart. That was a direct hit. That was a
That's pretty in line with like what's known as the January effect, right?
Yeah.
They're buying up.
We didn't get that last year.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, but so like this Apple chart needs work, right? Like if I'm looking at this right away,
it's
held where it's supposed to, but the volume on the upside wasn't that great. So 100%. If you look at the last time we got to this channel, the volume was much higher. So this is going to take time to build out.
100%.
Right. So why I think indices tend to kind of maybe drift higher or melt up a little bit, and individual names start to act better is like, this is Moderna. It's putting in a rounding bottom 1 year base at the COVID 2020 kind of highs, right?
Yep.
And to me, it looks like a healthy consolidation pattern, massive move up, right, from the 2020 lows. It pulled back as it needed to. It was too hot, and you have like a rounding top here. I mean, rounding bottom in a overall larger bullish pattern here, that if we do break up to the outside, this is healthy. And so until we start seeing this breakdown, like if that rejects that, I think 192 level you got there, right?
Yep.
If we reject that, then okay, then there's an argument that it's not ready, and that it might break down further, that it's not a rounding bottom. But right now, that's 4 straight weeks inside that big volume week.
I mentioned a few weeks ago, I kind of liked Moderna.
We talked about
that was one of the ones that I liked.
Throw up volume if you can, Bags.
Yeah.
Right. So like that was a big volume week after like kind of lulling everyone to sleep for multiple weeks. It breaks out to the top of the range, And then instead of breaking down like it has every other time when it gets to the top of the range, it's put in 4 inside weeks, holding moving averages. So to me, you start at the higher time frames and then you start moving to the lower time frames. And on the weekly, the monthly still needs a lot of work, but on the weekly, it's starting to look much, much better.
Hey, Nick, you have definitely been the bigger bull of the three of us, and you know where I'm going with this in oil and energy and minerals. How you feeling about those plays right now?
I mean, I feel all right. I have positions in Hess and XOM actually. Hess I sold into this a little bit, but
so I have a question for you, Nick.
Yeah.
To me, the pair trade is short the oil energy names XLE and buy OIH, right? The producers. As people are investing more into
OIH looks so good.
OIH looks great, right? And then you have rig underneath that SLB. So I'm not saying the energy play is dead, but I think the rotation is out of the refiners to the producers.
Yeah, rig. Yeah, those look great.
Valero looked good too.
Yeah. So this is what I'm seeing rotation, healthy rotation across the board. We know in bear markets, right? Like in massive bear markets like 2000 and 2008, there's literally nothing that's safe.
Yeah.
And then you have Caterpillar, right? What the hell it is doing, but that's a bullish chart starting from the monthly chart. Huh?
DE2.
Yeah, I was gonna say John Deere.
They look like I'm buying Cat and I'm buying them both. Fuck it.
But then you start looking at utilities, right? Utilities look like a distribution pattern. XLU doesn't look like it's gonna take a look at ED, right?
Yeah. I mean, it still looks pretty good.
No, go to the daily bags. I think it's more clear on the daily, right? Like if you got the volume on here, the moves down are on much higher volume, right?
I always wants the volume on here.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Right. So
I love you anyway.
This is never going to be quick when it comes to distribution. These are dividend plays that are in portfolios for years, right? Like this is not people. And then so if they're moving stuff out, they're moving stuff out slowly as they rotate between. And so like you'll see that the spikes on the red, to me, I look at this chart and I see a lot of red spikes. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, I mean, those downways were pretty violent, but it's still sitting up. I mean, it's still sitting up all right. I mean, there's to go back to. Well, do you want to save gold? It's gold for the end.
No,
talk about gold and I would imagine we talk about gold and crypto too. Bitcoin had quite the pop.
Bitcoin, Ethereum, gold is moving out. Like to me, those are risk assets, right? Outside of gold,
Bitcoin,
and so
look at that, over 21 grand.
Yeah.
But the risk assets are starting to participate, which to me, it's back to rotation, right? So if we talk about secular bulls and secular bears, what if this was just the larger bull, but a secular, not secular, but like a cyclical bear within the larger bull, right? It was a 61% retracement off the COVID lows. And like I said, I still need the catalyst for the next leg lower, if that's what people are looking for.
Bitcoin held the 61.8 from the COVID lows. Is that what you said?
No, Qs.
Oh.
Qs.
I posted this earlier in Charts for Charity. If Bitcoin can reach that like 23 level and just sort of base out there, I would see that as extremely positive.
Yeah. And like, so also pull up the Ethereum chart, right? We talked about this. This is stronger than Bitcoin, right? Didn't make new lows. And what's it doing? It's essentially leading, right? Through here.
Well, funny that you mentioned that, because when I go look at Bitcoin dominance, which is again Bitcoin against all the other coins, Bitcoin is showing dominance for the first time really in a while. And then when you compare it to Ethereum's losing strength to Bitcoin for the first time in a bit. So I still like Ethereum as a whole, but the way crypto works is it's in cycles too, right? As first, money rotates out, then when money rotates back in, Bitcoin's usually the first at the feeding trough, and then we'll see how Ethereum does, and then it becomes alt season.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see again. I feel like that 23 level is not that this run was bad, and I don't want anyone who's a Bitcoin maxi or anyone who's super bullish Bitcoin to think I'm putting daddy BTC down. I'm not. Was a good move, but anywhere up above this 23-ish level and just base out right there, because when I look at the monthly chart, that's what I want to look at here. Let me pull up on the cleaner version. That gives me that 9 EMA on the monthly retaken. And if it can just base out like right through here, right in this area, I mean, it can go up or down a little bit, right? Like it can wiggle. I'm fine with that, but just sort of base and find its footing, I would see that as extremely positive, because then you're going to have those other EMAs sort of slide right in. And then I think you're cooking again. But we'll see how long this lasts. And I totally agree with you, GP. It is a good signal that we are rotating to more risk on, and it's going to be interesting to see how long. You mentioned my little Twitter space that I'm doing when I'm just having thoughts as I'm driving on my commute. We do have a short week. We do have OPEX, but then we have Fed talk. The meeting's on the 31st. Jay Powell's going to talk on February 1st. So I still think we can see some volatility. And people always say, think of volatility as the VIX, but volatility can be to the upside as well. I think we're going to be in for a next couple weeks that might be herky-jerky. That would not surprise me. If earnings stay cool, we might not see that, but I could see the broader market whipsaw a few people who are trying to trade. That would not be a big surprise to me at all.
Yeah, well, that's been 13, 14 months and counting. So.
No, but I don't want it to sound like I'm talking out both sides of my mouth, because I wasn't expecting earnings to necessarily do that.
Yeah.
But when you have earnings with OPEX, with Fed speak, it's not a game I enjoy playing very much. I mean, you're basically flipping a coin to figure out, which way price is going to go, and you can get hurt. So anyway, just kind of how I'm looking at it. I've deployed cash the past few months here and there, so I'm not in a hurry to jump on a landmine.
Yeah, and so what I'll also say is the Qs had a 3WT, and so far in the down cycle over the last 12 to 14 months, the 3WTs have been pretty bullish outcomes, even if it's on the Friday, if it's all on the Friday. But they haven't followed through afterwards. And we had a 3WT last week on the Qs, and we pushed forward. So it'd be interesting to see if we follow through here. January OPEX is a really big OPEX. like from a fundamental mental,
Yeah.
this was the only OPEX that was open post-COVID, Jan 2023, right? So like there's definitely going to be lots of OPEX stuff around these 4 days. There's a thinking in my views is this looks similar to the April OPEX of 2020, but we'll have to see price action. I think on the monthly, the Qs have made higher lows for months in a row. Also, is something to take notice of. It's reclaiming the 50-month moving average that it bounced off twice, broke down in December, and then now is bouncing back through. So those are things on the longer term charts to look at. It's to see where rotation is happening. To me, the defensives like consumer staples and utilities look like they're weakening. Like if you pull up the LMT chart, so the LMT chart basically made all-time highs in 2020, right? At the end of 2020, and now 2 separate attempts to push back through that have gotten rejected. So this is a defensive name, right? This one seems weak to me. That's 2 separate attempts at trying to break the 2020 highs, and we're getting smoked.
Yeah, it's
Well, you're rolling
definitely
over on the monthly already too, right? So like it just doesn't have a great look. I can already see some negative divergence here, right? Like
Yeah.
there's just doesn't look great.
So there's money rotating out, right? And then Oxy, I know everyone's bullish Oxy, but Oxy looks to me not great, right? You have the Papa Buffett factor, so that can always change the look. But Oxy looks like on the monthly kind of rounding here, it's the moving average is now turning down.
Negative divergence as well.
Yeah, negative divergence. It looks very similar to the Amazon chart. I posted this on StockTwits. Right? How many times are you going to try to break out and not break out?
Yeah, I can see.
I mean, that doesn't look identical.
I see what you're saying.
Just it's still early on, right? So the theory that Oxy is going to break down tomorrow is not the conversation here. Amazon it's a wildly held name. It takes time to distribute. In this case, it's distributing to Papa Buffett, so I don't know if it will break down, but it's got similar looks.
We've got Soham in the live chat here, and while this is not financial advice, he asked if you had one stock to buy for this week, what would it be? And I said, I'm not a buyer this week, but I will pose the question to you two gentlemen.
Just this week, not next week, nothing?
This week. What if you had one stock to buy this week?
Probably PI.
PI. Personal information. Impinge.
Yeah, that's a Chinese name.
Man, we got to talk about the Chinas too.
I would say Amazon.
Amazon.
It has had a really strong week.
Look at the month first before you start at the week. Look at the month. What it's already done on the month.
Ooh, engulfed.
It engulfed and already took out the prior month's high. So
I really wanted some more in the 80s, but it doesn't look like I'm going to get it.
No.
You might, if everyone's right and the recession happens and we die.
Bottom's in.
Huh?
I'm just kidding. I don't know. Bottom's in.
Nick calls bottoms in.
So this to me, look at this. Like this is what. So this doesn't happen, right? To me, it doesn't happen. This monthly is a hell of a month on Amazon. It's already taking out. It didn't break the prior month's low like it has for the last 6 months straight. It reversed higher and is already breaking through the previous month's high. So to me, this has been beaten up, and option sellers have been winning since July 2021. This to me has the potential to be a 20% week in Amazon, right? That's what I think. I don't know if it's going to happen. I have no clue.
I mean, speaking of Amazon, Apple, while not on the greatest of volume, it closed above that kind of, what is that, 130, 450. That was kind of a pivot low.
Yeah,
to recapture there.
I like the Apple play, Nick. I just think it's recently beaten up, so it's going to take some time, right? Same as like kind of Tesla has been recently beaten up, so it's trying to establish its base. So it might base for 6 to 12 months here.
Yeah.
Before it goes higher. It might go higher before that. I have no clue, but these are ones that have just recently gotten beaten up. So they're going to take a lot of, what's the technical term? Fuckery. Before they start to move higher. But Amazon's already encountered its levels of obliteration, and that was a big week for Amazon. I'm pretty sure no news, right?
No news.
And so you have like the 3 attempts at trying to break the COVID lows, put in 3 weeks tight, and then boom, like it had what, a 10% week. Maybe it puts in an inside week. I feel like it's so far removed as a mega cap heavyweight stock, so far removed from its weekly and moving monthly averages, is that my guess is it pushes higher this week as well, but we'll see.
I really like the Spotify chart. I liked it last week. I like it this week too. So I'll go out on a limb. I'll give you Spotify. And Square looks pretty good too.
Yeah, Roku also looks really good. Talk about shaking off that downgrade.
Yeah, for sure. Roku actually did show a little bit of strength off that bottom.
Shop looks great to me. It hammered on the weekly. It held the 21-week moving average. It had a strong Friday. It engulfed what, 7 days, 8 days essentially. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days in one day, and volume starting to pick up. The other one I like is MDB, which is kind of a stealth play. There's a lot that I like. Doesn't mean it's what's going to happen for the week. MDB, it had that earnings move, came back. If you go to the daily here, monster earnings move, right? Like that was the highest volume it's ever seen in its daily existence in MDB, and then came back on low volume and retested that bottom, undercut, and now starting to push above. So these are to me technically strong patterns.
Nick, you've been quiet tonight. What do you think?
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
No, I'm, I guess, cautiously optimistic. Definitely leaning bullish. I'd love to. I don't know. I'd love to say the bottom's in, but who knows?
You already did.
I mean, I know. But
I'm with you, Nick. I'm in the same spot.
I was kind of with you, like in terms of I really want us to see. I really want us to see us like rally on like really shitty news. I feel like I think it'd be great to see some of these earnings reports, like just shitty ones, get bought up. I think that'd be a good sign.
So far, we're 2 for 2, right? Like on the sector leaders, right? So TSM leads semiconductors, I'm assuming, right? Or am I just making that up? They're the largest market cap.
They are the largest, but I wouldn't say they always lead. They are leading right now.
I mean, like the largest market cap, right?
Yeah, they are the largest.
And JPM we know is the largest or the best bank, right? To kind of that, I would say between Goldman and Goldman looks
Many
great too.
people make that argument. Yes.
Yeah. And so two of the strongest names saw some strong reversals on not such great earnings. So that to me is all good signs. Who knows? What's that?
XBI and the IBB.
I was
XBI
going to just
fin-
ask you about
XBI
XBI.
finally broke. I mean, it hasn't really taken out like a a pivot high per se, like that kind of that 95-ish area, but it is breaking out of a range it's been in for the last like what, basically.
I ain't gonna lie, Nick.
over
I
a
think it
year.
looks great.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
that Friday rejection was really interesting though.
I did too, but I was like, it's just some selling into the weekend.
I'd like to see it take out last week's high. But other than that, I think it looks great.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's breaking out of consolidation. I thought the Friday, that was one of my bigger concerns on the moves on Friday, which was XBI that's kind of bottom first, which bottom what in May and double bottom with Netflix back in June. That it did not break out on Friday, right? Like it kind of rejected the breakout, and before the pivot of what is it, 91 or whatever, right? So that was interesting for me. And it was on volume.
For
I
sure.
go buy some Labu.
But IBB is a little concerning for me because there are some names in IBB that Vertex doesn't look great.
Yeah, I know. I was just gonna say it looks like
Regeneron
Regeneron
does not look good.
I think it looks all right on the weekly. I don't like the daily very much.
The Vertex, right?
Regeneron.
All right, here's a total noob question. What's the difference between the IBB and the XBI?
Mega cap versus small cap.
Yeah.
All right, so the IBB is the larger cap.
Yeah.
Got it.
And XBI is like the speculative bios and stuff like that.
And LABU is the 3X version of that, or
Of XBI.
Of XBI, yeah. I mean, VRTX looks all right. I mean, it held the two. I mean, it just. This is kind. I would actually argue that VRTX looks amazing. It took out that trend line that it had basically had started last May. Shook everybody out that wanted that trend line to hold, roll over the 200-day, and now it's like ripping higher. And it bounced out. The last week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday were all on above average volume on the daily. It pushed it above average volume on the weekly too. So I would say, I mean, the 50 days rolling over though. So I mean, yeah, if it's going to reject, it's probably going to be right here in the 300s.
If you're talking short term, I can see what you're talking about, but that November 30th volume is the one that tells me that that's a big volume day.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the capitulation move to the upside. You know how we get them to the downside?
Oh yeah, yep. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
We also get it to the upside. So yes, it may kind of gyrate up and down between these kind of ranges, letting people out and stuff. But while the stock market was dying, Vertex was doing really well. And then it had that big volume days. And to me, that kind of volume that comes this far into the move is usually a sign of final liquidation, right? Like that's when a lot of people are getting out. They were selling into the highs. So that's what I'd be watching here. If it obviously takes out all-time highs, then it was just a fluke volume. But I think you'll see FSLR if you go to FSLR.
Oh my God, it never stops.
You know what?
But it had that big volume move, and then it broke down. But everyone was expecting like 2022, the Head and Shoulders to break down, but it didn't break down. Right.
I'm really starting to regret not buying this.
Why is ENPH being such a turd versus the others?
ENPH doesn't have as much cash, right? So in a
ARRY is my favorite, by the way. But
Yeah.
anyways, go on. Sorry.
No, I think it's more macro here. I was looking at something a while back. First Solar has like the least amount of debt and most amount of cash. Where so in an environment with raising rates, that's if ENPH needs to, I don't know, maybe raise money, it's going to struggle more. Whereas First Solar probably doesn't need to. Is my thought process on why that looks better than the other, but FSLR is also breaking out of a 14-year base with a nasty retest.
We got to get into the Chinas real quick.
China.
I mean, I think we said it last week, or it might have been the week before. Like, this is a V bottom. Like, there's no doubt this is a V bottom.
Yeah,
This sucker has just bounced and gone. You can look at the FXI, you can look at the K-Web.
Yep.
Like it's
Baba
just
doing?
a straight up V. Baba's doing the
Baba.
same thing K-Web is.
And
Like, you guys know my hesitation and my reasonings, but this has been a opportunity missed for a trade, just because of my own personal bias here. We pointed this out weeks ago, and it just keeps going. Cookie, actually, our good friend Cookie, actually asked me to chart something for him, which is almost unheard of coming from Cookie, but appreciate him asking me to give it a second set of eyes. But he was looking at the 3X. And which one is that? Hang on, I'll tell you. I gotta find it here. The 3X shares. Why am I blanking? Yuan? Is it what? I don't know. I've got it in my chart somewhere here. But it looks like it is ready to go as soon as I can find it for you. Yen, YNN.
what was it?
Yen,
Yin and
YNN. 3 times bullish China shares.
Oh.
Here's the all-time channel downtrend, right? And it's coming into the resistance, which would have been the old bottom of the channel, and it's almost got that monthly 9. That's up there at 69. But when you look at the weekly, like, it's already recaptured. And if we use the other Chinas, right, FXI, Baba, K-Web, whatever, like, it's in full reversal mode already. They're already above the 9. So that might be a catch-up trade that I've been thinking about. But again, it's China, and as soon as I buy, I'm gonna get taken out at the knees. So I'll probably do nothing. But
Yeah.
the Chinas have been hot is what I wanted to get to, and just interested in your guys' take.
I think if I could get a chance at Baba anywhere around 100, I think it'd be a gift. I think we're gonna see something as it kind of pushes into this like 120, kind of this 124, 125 area.
Do you
I
think
mean,
you're going to
there's
get
a
another
gap
shot at
fill.
100 though, Nick?
There's a gap fill at basically 120, 65. I don't know if we'll get a shot at 100. It kind of
105.
But the 20-day I think is the MA to watch there. So
It's the
Here's
105
back into
level that I'd be
105.
watching.
105, yeah, for sure.
So to me, if you're looking at that chart, I'll give my 2 cents. Baba Weekly, right?
Yeah.
That there's that capitulation bottom. We came back a few months later, retested it, broke it, and then reversed higher. So to me, this is signaling pullbacks are a buy, right? So look for 105 to hold, and then as we push through levels, look for low levels underneath that are gonna go. This has been cheap for a long time, but being in China and being China stocks has kept people out of it.
Yep.
Because they can change things all the time. But I think they're hurting quite a lot, so they're gonna get more aggressive about their own country and culture and stock markets and stuff. That they're gonna start to do better. This is a big gap that it's entered here on Baba. So, you know, if we push into that gap, we come back, and now that level that we're going to be watching is the 115 level, right? If 105 never gets tested again. So I like this a lot. I'm honestly not in any of the trades. I had some leaps that I bought last year for January that are going to expire worthless now, since we only have 4 days, unless Baba has a $30 move. So I was long, but I was long too early, so it just sucks. But I just wasn't expecting it to last as long as it did.
Yeah, I mean it's going on 2 years of downtrend, right? Like the downtrend started in October of 20.
Yeah, it really did, didn't it?
I like it. I wish there was more volume pushing this higher, but I also like that there's not a lot of volume pushing it higher. That means people aren't chasing yet, you know?
That's a good point, GP. Fair point. Fair
People
point.
are still very cautious about it. So once it starts breaking bigger levels,
I mean,
above,
volume is coming in comparison over the last. I mean, that's pretty decent weekly volume.
Yeah, but like if you look at the weekly volume last week versus the week before, which was a shortened week, it's not crazy, right? So I'm not looking back too far back because volume has been interesting. But if you're even just comparing to last week, it pushed higher. But on 5 extra days, that wasn't a lot more volume to push higher with. So people still aren't fully bought in, and pullbacks to 105 are probably going to be a gift, is what I would imagine.
Yeah, I'm in that camp too.
So we're all going to buy at 105.
If it gets there.
If it gets there.
It's looking pretty strong not to, but
we're going to have a Three Amigos trade here. We're all going to buy Baba at 105.
Yeah.
I want a firm commitment.
You got your firm commitment.
Yeah. If the trading day doesn't take over and I forget about it because there's so much stuff.
Well, shit, yeah. We're back, baby.
There's a lot to like. There's a lot to build on.
Yeah.
And you have to see the price action. Like I told you a month ago, we're sideways, man. We've been sideways for a long time.
Yeah.
Like don't confuse apathy for a bear market, right?
Soham's in with us, Ali Bobby at 105. So we've got the 4 horsemen trade now.
Oh, good deal.
Ron Veer's with us. Soxel, you know I love Soxel. You know I love the semis. You know,
dude, NVIDIA looks like a beast.
Oh my god, NVIDIA is one of the best charts known to man right now. And we just talked about TSM. I don't see anything can happen. I don't see how if the rest of the market is going, chips are going to go too.
Yeah, I might take back that weekly play and say NVIDIA might be better than Amazon. We'll see.
I love the way NVIDIA looks right now. Just love it.
It has been so technical since October. It is nuts.
Just love
it. The retrace of the October to November highs to the recent lows was exactly 61.8%. It tested twice
on a weekly and then pushed up. It's just looking fantastic.
I mean, when I'm even pulling up this POS right here, right? Like, come on.
So HedgeMine just talked. This is one of the most added, tech names in 2020, in the second half of 2022.
Intel was?
Yeah, along with Google, I think it was the biggest increase. But if you go to HedgeMine's Twitter handle, you'll see he's listed out like I think 10 of the most added over the last 6 months.
I'd still rather own AMD or NVDA.
AMD, I haven't looked at AMD in a while.
But hey, Intel gives you a
Right.
little divvy, right? So whatever. I'm not gonna shit talk Intel today.
Oh no, sorry, that's Q4 13F filings. So
TSM
they've already
looks better than
started
NVIDIA.
started coming in.
Oh yeah, when it's $20, like it's, you know,
You're
you
not
get
seeing the
that.
same in AT&T or Verizon, so
True that. But Soxel was the man's question.
Yep.
I added some Soxel not too long ago. I have Soxel in the Bags Brothers capital count. We like chips. We like them. We like them as with salsa. We like them as nachos. We like them salt and vinegar. We like sour cream. You name the chips, and the Bags family's all over it.
yep. You like the corn, you like the potato, you like the veggie chips, everything.
Whatever.
Don't
All of
matter.
it.
Whatever.
But so
All of
like that NVIDIA chart is actually pretty gorgeous. I completely forgot about that.
Did you look at TSM?
Yeah. Didn't
I
we look at it
pulled it
already?
up briefly.
Oh, we looked at TSM, did we?
Yeah,
I don't know what I was thinking.
Pulled it up briefly. What else? I feel like we got to talk about Tesla. We talk about Tesla every week. And I would imagine if, again, the same commentary I left with, if the market's going higher, chips are going higher. If the market's going higher, Tesla's going higher, right?
Hopefully.
I'm off base there.
Tesla just had its largest volume week since
Yeah.
December 2020, right? And we have a 3-week tight, essentially, is it? No, because that
No.
middle week
Yeah.
went to 113. No. But basically, once again, supposed bad news on them lowering prices. By the way, every single Model 3 and Model Y that is in my area that qualified for the $7,500 credit is sold out. It was gone by the next day.
Wow.
So whatever inventory problems they have is the ones with over the 55,000 mark that doesn't qualify for the credit. And my assumption is those people are holding off to see what the IRS does, because the Model Y gets classified as a car if it's a 5-seater, but as an SUV if it's a 7-seater. But the car size doesn't change. If it gets classified as a 7-seater, if it gets classified or reclassified as a SUV, the income limit bumps up to 80,000. I mean, the price limit bumps up to 80,000, and then all those cars qualify as well. But if you're in Jersey, you can get a Model 3 for 36,000 because New Jersey doesn't have any sales tax on EV cars, and they are also giving away up to $4,000 in credits on top of the $7,500 federal credit.
Renbeer brings up ALGM, one of Deuce's names. I don't know anything
Yep.
about it.
This is a new IPO, no?
2020 IPO. Looks like maybe. Yep, 2020 IPO.
Yeah, I've been watching LGM.
I don't know.
I don't know anything about it. I mean, there's definitely worse charts out there to look at.
There are, but IPOs take a while to me. And the trade on a lot of IPOs is after it breaks out, right? That's when it goes bananas.
So what above 36?
38.28.
30, is that what it is?
Does this
That's
mean
all.
Oh yeah, 38.
IPO
yeah.
low, not breaking rule? GP. Does this mean GP's IPO low, not breaking rule?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
But it broke the IPO low the next day, so it doesn't. It hasn't seen that low again, but it essentially broke the IPO low the next day. Where, like, if you look at the Google IPO low, it never got tested from that day.
So this is something I haven't done in a while, is look at some things that have been on my watch list, or actually throw some things on my watch list. I'm watching snow. I kind of like snow here. Again, if everything's gonna go up, I think I like snow. Coin had a hell of a week, and your boy did really good on calls last week. Playing.
Did you see MicroStrategy? Woo!
I did not.
Woo!
MicroStrategy.
MSTR.
Oh,
Woo!
through the roof this week because Bitcoin.
Yeah. So once again, the miners lead. Sorry, it's not a miner, but it was leading out.
Hey,
Right? Take a look at.
You probably want to go back to about midway, about 30 minutes ago. We touched on FSLR and ENPH. What do you guys like? I gave you I gave you 4 things that I like in spot, square, snow, and I'm still gonna stick by coin. But what else you guys? What else are you feeling? And it doesn't have to be this week. That was the question that we received earlier. But like short to near term, week, month, you know.
ARRY was probably one of my faves, but I mean, I've been watching ALGM. I don't have a position currently though. PI is on my radar.
I mean, that looks like it's ready to turn too, Nick. All right, like
I like Melly.
Melly.
Oh,
Name that we haven't talked about in a very long time.
Boing.
Yep.
I like this. I'm long from last year. I'm just waiting for it to finish its consolidation cycle. I like it. I'm not trading it. It's just a buy. Also like what I've talked about, which is NVIDIA and Amazon. I like Amazon. It seems like it's finally ready to party, right? And as everyone was selling, as you saw, I think going into end of December, you saw lots of flow coming out from retailer holders. So this makes sense. So I like Amazon. I also like Macy's.
Whoa.
It shook me out.
Whoa. That was not a name I was expecting.
not a name I even normally look at.
You all right. You gotta walk us through Macy's, GP.
Yeah, I will. I think I posted on the Charts for Charity a while back. I had a really tight stop there because I felt like it was gonna shake me out. So I'm glad I took my 1 cent gain on the stop, and but it's right back to where I got stopped out. So what I really like about this chart, if you're looking on like a monthly time frame, is there's kind of a big inverse head and shoulders playing out here. Right? That's a lot of volume at the bottom of the chart pattern as well. This is not, it doesn't move like it should. They've done what they needed to from a retail perspective on swapping from brick and mortar to their online model. it just looks like just set it and forget it kind of, right? Like, yeah, I can see this pushing back up to the high mid to high 40s in the next year, right? So year or two, whatever it is. But I don't think the consumer is dead personally.
Take a look at DKS.
Oh, that's just monster, right? Like,
Yeah.
but we talked about this, I think, a few weeks ago before Nick, right? Before Nick was back with us, we talked about Lululemon. We talked about
Nike.
Ulta.
Yeah.
Like, if the consumer is dead, what are these stocks doing?
Lulu didn't have a great week.
No, it didn't. Some news came out, but it's like the final shake, right? So, Ulta, right?
Yeah, Ulta's been a beast.
So if your thesis is that the consumer is dead, what is the beauty line doing here? Take a look at Estee Lauder. EL. Yep.
I think that's a Kramer name.
Right. That seems to be doing pretty well here.
Not bad.
I can't sit at my
there's
desk without typing in EL for some reason. Like I've never once traded the stock, but anytime I'm like scanning tickers and I'm just, typing tickers into the keyboard without, like really thinking.
Yeah. And I don't think EL is a tradable
like
stock personally.
The one that I don't know why that is, but whatever. Yeah.
Oh, look at RH.
Looks good.
Restoration.
I mean, Target looks like it's kind of bottoming out. It's pushing into what, the 200-day?
Don't bring up Target because then you're all of a sudden going to get GP hating.
No, I think it looks great. I think it looks so much better than Walmart now.
I love to hear it.
I mean, at least we have a pretty defined range, that if you want to buy this fucker, like your stop's got to be under 140.
Look at Home Depot. This looks great.
The Depot, the despot.
Yeah.
And of course, Lowe's. I still think I like Lowe's better.
They're the same charts.
Yeah.
But, to me, if the consumer was truly dead, I wouldn't be seeing these types of actions, right? Like, I don't know.
All right, guys, that's an hour.
That is.
Wham bam. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
We're uncertain right now if Nick will be joining us next week on the Zoom, but we're going to have a live in person show with old GP and me. We're actually going to get together and have some dinner and then talk some charts.
Yep, we're definitely going to start drinking before the charts this time, though.
So we're going to be live and in living color together. I can't get the picture of GP in his bikini out of my head. Been nonstop since he confirmed that this was happening. So
I will leave that at home for you, Bags.
We'll keep it PG-13 as we always do. But looking forward to it, GP. Nick, if you can make it, of course, we eagerly await that answer. But if not, my brother, have a great week. Markets closed on Monday. We're taping this on Sunday night, January 15th. No market tomorrow. Monday, January 16th, in observation of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. But thanks everybody for stopping by. Thanks for listening in. And we'll be with you live and in person with another TA report.